OCD Beauty. My name is Amy and today I'm going to share my eyeshadow palette collection. Now a few of these that I'm going to show you are limited edition or are no longer available, and I'm sorry for that, but I did want to give you a look at the shadows that I do have, or the palettes that I do have. Now I'm not sharing any of my single eyeshadows, and I do have a couple of duos. I'm not showing those, but I am showing one trio and then a couple of quads that I have. If you're interested in seeing my single eyeshadows, leave me a comment down below or give this video a thumbs up and I can film that next. But I wanted to go ahead and get started. So ironically, I have my glasses on because I have a sty on this eye right here. It's almost all the way gone. I think if I give myself a couple more days of no contacts and no eye makeup, it'll be completely gone. But it popped up last week and I was like, okay, I'm not wearing any contacts, I'm not wearing any eye makeup because this thing needs to go away. So ironically, I'm showing you my eye palette collection without any eyeshadow on. So let's go ahead and get started. So first I'll show you the one trio that I have that's full size. I do have a smaller size trio by Smashbox, but that wasn't a Birchbox, I think. This I featured in the Wet n Wild First Impressions video a couple weeks ago. I'll link that down below if you're interested. This is a limited edition palette called the New Romantics, and it has a really white kind of creamy shade. I don't know if you just heard that, but George just whined real heavily. A pink shade and then a purple kind of pastel-y shade. So I've only used this in that Wet n Wild First Impression, so I have not reached for it again. But it was relatively inexpensive, $2.99. I have still seen it at some CVS and Walgreens, so it could still be available in your area if you were interested in it. But I don't know if I would really recommend it. I mean, they're pretty dupable shades, I think, and they are pretty shimmery. So there's that. Then I have a Flower Beauty, which is by Drew Barrymore, quad in Secret Garden. This is sold exclusively at Walmart, and I got it because I was in the market for some green eyeshadows, and so it has a deeper green and a lighter green, and then it does have a like a light pink shade and then a purple type color. I have used this a few times. It's nice. I don't know if it's really amazing. I mean, it's not amazing, or I would say it's amazing, but I just don't reach for it that much. Like if I'm gonna reach for a purple shade, which is like this, I would reach for my NARS Ashes to Ashes, which is in a project tin pan on my blog, and I really just don't wear a lot of green eyeshadow. Even though at the time I was like really into it, but I just haven't reached for it that much. So there's that. And then this I do reach for pretty regularly. It's the Physicians Formula Matte Collection Quad Eyeshadow in Canyon Classics. It did come with a little sponge applicator and it has a very small mirror, but they have several variations of this from Physicians Formula. I don't know the other colors, but this was the one that I was most interested in. I use the two lighter mid-tone browns more frequently than the other two shades. This is kind of like a slate gray color. But this is nice for transition shades, and it has a nice matte brow bone, oh my gosh, I can't say that, brow bone highlight shade. So this is nice. I do like it, especially if you just need some, neutral shades to help blend a look together. So those are my smaller eyeshadow palettes. I do have this by e.l.f. I just purchased this on their website. I got it on Monday. So I have not used this yet because, I have a sty. So this is the Mad for Matte eyeshadow palette by e.l.f. I know many people rave about this, and that's kind of what drew me in. It is $10. It's still available online, and I've seen it at Target as well. And it has a nice range of very light shades all the way to like a slate type gray color. I don't know if it's really supposed to be a black. It's more of a gray to me. I did swatch this on my blog, so I'll link that blog post down below if you're interested in seeing what these look like on my arm anyway, with finger swatches. So I have heard the quality is pretty good. I noticed when I was swatching some of the shades, they weren't amazingly pigmented, but overall, most of them had pretty good pigmentation, and I think this will be a nice addition to my eyeshadow palette collection. These three I know you can still get and are not limited edition. The first one is the Makeup Revolution Redemption Eyeshadow Palette in Iconic 3. The reason I purchased this from Ulta.com is because I heard it was a dupe for the Urban Decay Naked 3, which is like the rose gold type colors. I really honestly do not reach for this that much, and I think it's because of these pans are so slender. It's kind of hard to get my brush in there, and the pigmentation is not that great. It has a nice range of colors from, you know, taupes and purples and rose golds, and there's even like almost like a bronzy type rose gold, and it is nice, but honestly it's not something that I reach for that often, but it's nice to have if I did want to have, you know, go for a look more like this. Now I do have one Urban Decay palette. This was probably my first high-end purchase when I first started getting into makeup, and I got this in Macon, Georgia, where at the time my wife was going to law school. So I've had this for years, and I love this palette. I haven't felt the need to spend the $52 on the other Naked palettes, and I did want the rose gold one, but I went for the more cheaper version. I love this palette. It's a really great, you know, palette for first or beginner makeup users. It has a great range of shades. There are two matte shades, Naked and what is this one called? Buck. And they're more of like transition shades, so you don't have like a complete eye look here if you wanted like a matte, darker look. But it does have a nice range of shades. I love Sin. I love Naked. I've already hit pan on that just a little bit. And Half Baked is really nice. It's a really shimmery bronze color, kind of golden. The one shade in here that I really don't like that much is Sidecar, because I feel like it's just straight glitter and there's not a lot of pigmentation, and I get a lot of glitter underneath my eyes from it. And I don't really use Creep or Gunmetal, the two darker ones, because I don't really go for a smoky look. But I love this palette. It's a great palette. I've had it for a long time, and it's really easy to travel with as well. Now, my absolute favorite palette is the Lorac Pro palette. I just love this palette, and it was, I think, relatively affordable for the quality of shadows that are in here. I think it's $42 at Ulta. You can still purchase it. They have other variations, just like the Urban Decay palettes and the Makeup Revolution palettes, but this is definitely my favorite, and this is my go-to. I travel with this a lot. It broke the last time we traveled. I believe this was the only eyeshadow palette that I took with me to Hawaii, and I used this on my wedding day as well. So I love this palette, and I've thought about doing like Pan That Palette, that sort of thing, and I would maybe use this one or the Naked by Urban Decay, but I would be so sad if these shadows went away because they're so good. They do have not fallout on your face, but they have kick up whenever you put your brush in there, so it is pretty like dingy and dirty, but the pigmentation is great, the formula is amazing, and it blends really nicely. So my favorites are Mauve, Cream, and I like Nude a lot as well, but you know, I've used Black and what is that one called, Espresso, quite a bit as well, especially as like liner. So I love this palette, and it's, out of the palettes that I have, I would say this is my favorite. And if I had to get rid of all the other ones, I wouldn't be okay with it, but this is the one that I would pick. So those palettes that I showed, other than maybe the Wet n Wild one, are still available, and you can get those online or at drugstores or at Ulta or Sephora. The others, One I think is still available, but I think it might be more of a limited edition palette. The others I do not think are still available, so I'm sorry, but I am going to show you what I have. So the one that I think is still available on Ulta is the Urban Decay. This is the 20th anniversary, the Vice Limited Reloaded palette. I regret purchasing this. Like, if I could go back in time and not purchase this and save like I can't remember how much this was, $50 I think, I would. So if it is still available, I wouldn't recommend it unless you're really into, you know, doing funky eye looks and that sort of thing. It does come with a very large mirror, and it has quite a bit of shadows. I think there's 20 in here. Honestly, the pigmentation is not the Urban Decay quality that I'm used to from the Naked palette. I didn't think the pigmentation was that great, and I honestly never reach for this palette. It does have a nice range of shades. I'm sorry if I'm blinding you, but it's hard to cover this whole thing up. It does have a nice range of shades, but I just felt like the quality of the pigmentation is not that great, and I just don't reach for these vibrant type shades anyway, so I do regret purchasing this, but you know, impulse buys, what can we say? The next one was hyped like crazy on Instagram, on YouTube, you know, it was hyped up pretty significantly, and it's the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I do believe it's no longer available, but I think it's going to become available at Christmas, I think, or the holidays. I think they'll re-release it, but I don't think you can get it anymore. I do like this palette. I wouldn't say I regret purchasing it because there's some shades in here that I reach for almost every single day, so I do like it, but it's not something that, it's not a palette that you couldn't find elsewhere. I mean, it has a pretty, you know, strong fake peach smell. It does have a nice range of colors, but it is, I think, on the warmer side. So like the matte brown shades, I tend to reach for like my, you know, Physicians Formula for crease or transition shade as opposed to these, because these are pretty warm. The pigmentation is very great though. It is a good pigmented palette. My favorite shade is definitely, what is this one called? Georgia. And it's right here. It almost looks pink in the pan, but when you put it on, at least on my skin tone, it's more of my skin tone, and is a great transition, kind of help blend all the colors together, so I love that. And I have traveled with this to a wedding, and I wore it to a friend's wedding, and it lasted, you know, all night. So I do like this palette, but and I have a full blog post, review, swatches, and an eye look as well, which I'll link below if you're interested in seeing that. But Emily Noel did a whole like dupes video around this peach palette, and showed more affordable and more accessible palettes if you are still, you know, interested in getting something very much like this, because it is a good palette, but I think the hype was a little ridiculous for what it is. Now this, I'm pretty sure you can't get anymore. It's the Stila in the Light eyeshadow palette. I got this at Macy's, you know, several years ago, and I do like it. I don't reach for it as much as my Naked or my Lorac palette, but I love Kitten, and I love Bliss, which is like a matte brown shade. I've used Bubbly quite a bit as well, which is kind of a champagne color. I think I really purchased this because of Kitten, because I heard so much great things about it and was interested in trying it. And if I was going to spend $20 on an eyeshadow, then I might as well, you know, fork out, I think this was like $38 or something like that, you know, an extra $18 and get, you know, so many more shadows. I've thought about depotting the shades that I like and putting them in my Z palette and giving this to someone who might use the other shades a little bit more than I am. But for now, I've decided to keep it and just to try and use it a little bit more frequently. So it is nice. I do like Kitten a lot. I don't know if it's, ew, now I have eyeshadow all over my hands. I don't know if I used up Kitten, if I would buy a single of it again, but I could see why people really like it. And then lastly, I do not believe this is available anymore, but Nordstrom has these types of palettes all the time that go up on their website. And you can also, these are all, I believe, permanent eyeshadows from MAC that you could make your own Z palette, or make your own, you know, customized palette if you wanted to. I got this, I think it was before Thanksgiving last year, and it's the, they don't have the name on here anymore, but it was exclusive to Nordstrom, and it was like the warm neutrals or something like that. And it has Vapor, Honey Lust, All That Glitters, Saddle, Mulch, Rice Paper, Amber Lights, Woodwinked, Wedge, Brawn, Omega, Satin Taupe, Embark, Beauty Marked, and Carbon. I got this because I felt like this was probably some of the most popular MAC shadows, and I didn't have any MAC shadows, and it was for what you could get. Now would probably be cheaper since MAC has decreased their price from $10 to $6 for a single shadow. But at the time, this was, I think, $80, and it retailed for like $180 or something like that. So I went ahead and purchased it. I do like it, and I get some fairly good use out of it. I really use this shade here and All That Glitters a lot. Vapor is really nice. The more matte type colors I get more use out of than the glitter ones, because I find the pigmentation's better. Other than All That Glitters has pretty good pigmentation. The matte ones I feel are a little bit better than the glittery, shimmery shades in this palette. So it's no longer available, but these shades are still available at MAC and, you know, wherever you can buy MAC stuff, like at Nordstrom and that sort of thing. Let's see. Okay, so those are all of my palettes. I do have a Z palette, but I'm not going to show you their Makeup Geek shadows. So if I do a single eyeshadow collection, I'll put that in that video. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what you see, and if you'd like to see other collection videos. I did do the blush tag, which basically was my blush collection. So if you're interested in seeing that, I'll link that down below, and everything that I kind of referenced, I'll link down below in case you're interested. And I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video.